small and medium enterprises, and around half of that is dedicated and goes directly to women-led businesses. So we take the women proposition very seriously. We partner also with the Africa Guarantee Fund. We are just about to start one with IFC and other partners that help us to guarantee and risk share so that as a bank we can continue supporting the sector. So we talked about that as well. The guests list continues to grow. I know one of the things Elizabeth has been struggling with is how to ensure we accommodate everybody, and we'll continue building on that. Before I go to the introduction of Waziri, where I have to put on my glasses and do a proper job of reading it, I just wanted to recognize some of the leaders from Absa who are here. We have Elizabeth, who has already been introduced. She's our champion on women-led businesses. She preaches to us in every EXCO meeting that we have, and we are very proud of her. We have Christine Mwai Marandu. Christine is somewhere in the room. Christine is our credit director. I can't see her here. She was with us earlier. She's probably on a call, but Christine doesn't have she's not a large person, but she's the only person in our bank who can sign 3 billion on one signature. Even I can't do it, and we are very proud of her that she's here. We also have, who else do we have? We have Stella, our director in charge of global markets. We have Lydia Karanja, who is the director in transaction banking in the corporate bank. And then I have a courageous gentleman who has accompanied me, Moses Muthui, my friend. He's the consumer banking director. Just in recognitions, I have also heard that the chair of the Chamber of Commerce for Kenya has joined us. I just want to recognize him as well. Karibu sana. Let me now go to the introduction. Honorable Rebecca Miano serves as Cabinet Secretary for Investments, Trade and Industry, a job she has held since October 2023. Before that, she held a previous Cabinet Secretary role in charge of East Africa Community, the arid and semi-arid lands and regional development, where among her responsibilities included championing Kenya's agenda in the East Africa Community, promoting development through regional development authorities, and implementing measures to enhance resilience in the arid and semi-arid areas. Before joining the cabinet, she served as a managing director and chief executive of KenGen, the largest producer of electricity in the region. And she made history in that role by being the first female MD of that organization. Throughout her career, she has committed on female empowerment as one of the most critical social undertakings, a cause that has always been close to her heart. In her career in energy, she's had a particular interest in renewable energy and the correlation between the supply of energy and electricity and the empowerment of small businesses, especially women-led businesses. In 2020, she won the African Leadership Award, which was a gentle reminder of the importance of her work in helping the continent to evolve and take on the unique challenges that face us. I've talked about her commitment to women and women's rights and women empowerment, both in her current role as well as her previous roles. She has a great vision for equality, especially gender equality, and the empowerment of women in executive roles, and continues to fuel her drive and as she looks forward to a time when women in Africa no longer have to struggle to achieve greatness and success. In terms of recognitions, with over 3 decades of experience in the energy sector, she is recognized continental business leader with a distinguished career in public service. Her accolades include being named among the top 100 women CEOs in Africa, being named the chairperson of the year by Women on Boards in 2021, and receiving the Company Secretary of the Year award in the Champions of Government Awards series. In 2021, the Africa Energy Chamber listed her among the top 25 sector movers and shakers watch list. There is a lot of academic stuff which will need another few minutes, but only to say that she holds an LLB degree, is a member of the Law Society of Kenya, and continues to be committed to education through sitting on various university boards and especially focusing on education for the girl child. So Waziri is here today not just to talk about policy in her current docket, and I've heard her talk about that in many events. A few weeks ago, we were together in Atlanta, Waziri, when you were signing that $175 million deal with Coca-Cola. And I remember you referred to your scorecard and the ambition that you have in government to transform business. And I think today, when you look at the people represented here, we'll probably go into your scorecard as one of the big steps and the big achievements as well. But we are also interested in hearing your own story as a woman leader who has come up the ranks to where you are today. So ladies, please join me in welcoming Waziri Rebecca Miano to the stage. Karibu sana.
Wow, the room is so full. Thank you very much, CEO, Mr. Abdi Mohammed, Elizabeth Wasuna, and all the phenomenal women who are sitting in the room, and the few gentlemen who I will request to forgive me if at one time I refer to everybody as ladies in my speech. Allow me to start by thanking Absa leadership for hosting an event to celebrate the strides made thus far in expanding women's investment opportunities across Africa. I couldn't be in a better place or in more auspicious company, and therefore I thank you most sincerely for inviting me to this occasion. But I must be honest, when I was invited to this event, I was in the middle of doing many things, and I read the invite. And I quickly said yes, because I saw the word women. So, when I was relaxed in the evening, I looked at the letter again, and I said, no, maybe I'm too busy. But a vision crossed my mind of me speaking here, which made me go back and read the invite one more time. And this time, the feeling was different. I decided that is one event that I will attend. But on behalf of government, before I go back to the story, I extend a very warm welcome to each one of you, and especially those who have traveled out of Kenya. Your presence here testifies to the common vision we share in matters innovation, economic growth, and commitment to advancing the overall well-being of our continent. Empowering your growth story, which is the theme of this conference, is ample telltale evidence of our shared experiences and commitment to inspire each other. Quite apparently, nature bequeathed women folk enough prowess to propagate every good thing under the sky. Women, therefore, have no excuse to remain low-key with regard to breathing fresh life to families, to communities, and even to businesses. So when I arrived here, I thought I will discuss things about investment, trade, and industry. But as I sat here and the CEO introduced me, I decided to change and just give you my story. Because since yesterday, you've been told about trade, you've been told about investments, exports. I'll just be repeating myself if I just gave a lecture or a speech about trade. But then the problem I have is that my story is long, and when the CEO said that he said, how many decades? You made me feel so old, but age is a gift. And so I'm really here to celebrate the achievements of all of you great women, indeed the millions around the world, as we continue to put meaning to the decades of campaigns on gender equality and the place of women in the workplace, in society, and in business. And when I look at the pointers, and I hear many of you, I see the story of my life playing between the lines, and each passing word keeps telling me, let's do this. And ladies, let us do this. I see an opportunity to recognize and appreciate how much progress we have made in terms of women empowerment through the years. But let us not deny the fact that women today have opportunities that our mothers and grandmothers could have only dreamt of because they didn't have them. So we must celebrate and inspire each other, and a forum like this is a perfect forum. So when I started working in the energy sector, I got a job at the lowest level of the training I had. And so I got a job as an assistant legal officer. And at that time, I never ever thought that I could one day be standing in front of all these beautiful, phenomenal women, giving my simple story. And I rose through the ranks. My story has been known as a staircase story. I served as an assistant legal officer 1, legal officer 2. There were all those layers. And eventually I got closer to the top, became the director for legal services and company secretary. And when the managing director's vacant position was advertised, there is a voice. And women, we know this. That voice told me, do not apply. That job, you will embarrass yourself. That job is for engineers, tall in blue and black suits. Do not dare. And that voice was quite strong. And therefore, I decided I will not apply. But somebody came to my office and asked me, are you applying for the job? And I said, no. In fact, I was hostile because of that voice. And they told me, if you do not apply for that job, what else are you looking for? You will look like a person who is in a lift or an elevator. You have arrived and you're not getting out of that lift. And that blew my mind. Then I negotiated with that voice in me. I told that voice, I will apply, but not to get the job, but just because I've been challenged. And so I applied, not to get the job. I thank God that I applied. I did 3 interviews, still not to get the job. And with no godfather, nothing much, I emerged the top candidate. And to be honest, even at that stage, I honestly believed the job was reserved in the professions associated with energy, like engineers, and specifically male engineers. And here I am, and I've been appointed. I still had the voices. And I hope many of you associate with me. And therefore, I got the job, and I served. And because previously there had been no female managing director at that company, there was quite a lot of gender inequality that was rampant. It was male-dominated. And indeed, it was a strange thing. I remember when I was given a vehicle, a big Prado, even getting to the vehicle was an issue with the male bodyguards. I didn't know how to maneuver all that. And then even little logistical things, an office that had been occupied by men for 50 years, and the first, I saw, I don't know whether to say this, when I got into the office, the first thing somebody did is to come with a sanitary bin, at least to make the washroom compliant. But I served, and I became the pioneer of Pink Energy, a women's forum that we formed to sensitize women, encourage women, and mentor women. Then Pink Energy grew bigger than I thought. We got support from World Bank, from other partners, IFC, and it now has a strategy, and I'm glad when I listen, it's still doing well. Subsequent to that, I was appointed, and I'm still a council member of the World Bank Group Advisory Council on Gender and Development. And so when I was still in my service as the managing director, one afternoon, following a political process, I was chairing a meeting and I got a call. And I was asked, would you consider taking a different job? I actually said yes. In 45 minutes, there was an announcement that I had been nominated. Again, the voice came back. You remember our little voice? But that is history. I was appointed as the Cabinet Secretary for East Africa Community, Arid and Semi-Arid Lands and Regional Development. But there is a process again. There is vetting by Parliament. And that was quite something. Not being a politician, appointed to a job where you go to Parliament. But again, I've learned that courage and confidence will take you through. And then after serving for about a year or so, 1 year and a half, one evening in my sitting room watching news, I saw breaking news. Cabinet reshuffle. I saw my name. And then I'm wondering, is it me? Or anyway, that's how fast and agile and flexible we are called upon to do. So ladies, today I look back at my life growing up, and I think every opportunity was a God-given opportunity. Through my childhood, schooling, all the long years, up to where I've given my stories. I look at families today, and I admire the life many of us are able to give our children. It was not easy back then for me. I came from a large family, and my father was polygamous, and being from a very large family, your guess is as good as mine, and you know that the parent-to-child ratio was quite large. That getting attention from your mom or your dad was not something that you ever expected. I remember I used to have frequent ailments, tonsils, and all those kind of things because I was brought up in a cold place. And I have interesting tales that when we have time, we can share even more. I spent most of my class 1, class 2 going to the dispensary, and that's where we found the worst customer service those days. When you get there, you have not wronged anybody, but you start with hostility. The nurses are threatening you with the injections and all that. So we went through that. But above all, because of always being in the dispensary and being a child and being a human being, when I didn't feel like going to school, I would say I have tonsils, so that you miss school. So we went through all this until my father saw that I could actually drop out of school, because maybe in a month, 90% of the times I'm walking up the dispensary. So he took a bold decision to take me to boarding school at class 4 in a warmer place to resolve the colds and even the pretense that I have a cold. So he got one solution. I went to boarding school at class 4, far from home, and I learned to be independent. And when I grew up and got children, none of my children went to boarding school. Not even for secondary, not even for university. But that's another story that we can discuss, the merits and demerits of making decisions. But I did well despite the circumstances. I graduated from the University of Nairobi. I got an LLB degree, which I later realized the LLB might as well mean live and let be. That's why I lived and I let myself to be an engineer. I let myself to be a leader. Today, I've let myself to be a minister. I'm still living and I'm still letting be. LLB. I want to cut short my story so that I can tell you some of the things that have worked for me and some of the nuggets that you can use. And it is important to note that the story alone could not take me far. It's just a story. I have over time learned some valuable habits and winning touch points that have been fruitful in my life and have become success markers for me. I have appreciated that when we focus on and practice some of these things, and what we practice is what we become. So I will just share the 5 areas that have helped me grow from one level to another. I decided to focus on these areas because I have for a long time observed my mentors, high performers, and I'd always wondered what the magic mojo in their life was. If you should take just one thing from my talk this morning or from what I've shared, these 5 points are some of the things that I wish you to take away because they have helped me as a leader, they have helped me in business, and we do not have separate qualities or experiences for business, for personal life, for family. We are still the same person, and the skills we have will take us through in any situation. So number 1 is confidence. This I know is what holds back many women, but even some men, although it is more prominent in us ladies. The good news is that we have the power to work on our personality and learn to become confident and be high achievers. Confidence is something you work on. My first time in public speaking, I was trembling like a leaf on a windy day. The only cure was confidence. Many a times when we see an opportunity and deep inside we know we are capable, but because we fear, we let it go and sit back and watch as the more confident men compete for the opportunities that arise in any situation, in business, at work, and everywhere. Personally, I keep improving my level of confidence in seeking my dreams. Do not be shy, but come out boldly and take up opportunities as they arise. Be it a vacancy in your organization, be it a business idea, be it an investment, we must have a nose to sniff opportunity, and we take it spot on with confidence. We must trust our gut feeling to go for it. But that gut feeling, you must remove that voice, which I so fear because it has been there in my life. But more importantly, I take time to understand myself and focus on doing the things that I know will give me more confidence. So ladies, let us work on our confidence. There is a partner to confidence, which is competence. And ladies, the more competent you become, the more confident you become. So it's a loop. And the more confident you become, the more competent you want to become. And therefore, let us work on our competence. I have realized human beings, many people, leaders, enemies, friends, will quarrel with many things about you. Nobody has ever been courageous enough to quarrel with confidence, with competence, I mean. So let us take competence very seriously. Every day of your life, do personal development to increase your competence, especially in your area of work. I have also learned that when people decide to criticize you, it is your competence that they are attacking, but they can't quite say. So they start saying, oh, look at the way she walks, look at the way she... But all that is a quarrel with competence. So let us be competent. So the second one is resilience. As Ernest Hemingway put it, the world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are strong at the broken places. But those that will not break, it kills. As I said earlier, if you have not failed at many things, you probably have not accomplished a lot. We therefore must embrace both success and failure in equal measure and use them to help us to soldier on. I have very many examples of when resilience came out for me, but in the interest of time, let's just embrace resilience. Number 3, hard work. The fruits of hard work can never be overemphasized. I know you must have heard of this many times before. This is something we grow up with, especially our generations. Our parents were really encouraging us to work hard, and our teachers. So we must also encourage ourselves, our children, all those around us to work hard. Dear ladies, the response to the calling of your potential is not possible without hard work. I get asked, you're too busy, you're traveling, what? And people almost want to sympathize with you because you're busy, you're working hard. But when you're not doing anything, nobody will sympathize with you and say, oh, you're not doing anything. I believe each one of us in this room, when it comes to hard work, we only achieve 30% of what we can do. So ladies, go forth and work harder. And do not get into this situation where you just want to sit because people are concerned that you are working hard. Many of us, even I, currently, I believe maybe I'm at 40% of what I can do. As a lady, as a leader, as a human being, there is always so much more potential. And there are many stories about hard work where you find somebody is not able to do quite a lot, but they can afford 4 hours of a movie, 3 hours of Netflix, and for our brothers, 8 hours in a pub, but they do not have time to work hard. I've talked about competence. I'll leave it at that. I had a whole chapter. But let us also finally surround ourselves with mentors. Great mentors will lift us up and make a better version of us. We become like those we spend time with. We are encouraged to cultivate relationships with people who bring out the best in us, the people who will appreciate us, honor us, and allow us to excel. Let us identify role models and see what they do and borrow their habits. And when we do that and intentionally emulate them and let them show us how they did it, we too transition to great role models. I have been having role models, some of who I interact with, some of who I just watch, because they are maybe even not in this country, but it really helps to have a mentor. I have been able to develop myself by studying successful personalities. I have attended several leadership conferences and courses which have helped me to be a better person. And even today here, all of you inspire me to be a better person. The fact that you can sit here and just participate in bettering yourselves, inspiring yourselves, and the fact that you could even listen to me gives me courage to go on. So, because it's a long story, let me give you my final advice. And I'll ask all the ladies, in whatever you do, be great at what you do. Be a weapon at what you do. Be a one-person SWAT team in yourself. Get so good that your team can't avoid you. Be so good that people around you cannot do without your participation. Get so good that they have to call on you to support them. Be so good at what you do that people want to be better around you. And finally, when it comes to success, competency, proficiency, when it comes to doing business, it is incredibly important to know that all these things know no gender. There is no he confidence, she confidence, all these things, apart from the biological creation by God, everything else is not aware that there is gender. All these things know no gender. So I am very happy to have shared my story. It is longer. When you invite me again, we will talk more. I'm happy that Absa Bank, in collaboration with the She Trade Hubs at a regional level, has aligned itself to support the women in business in key competitive sectors. It is noteworthy that Absa Kenya committed 100 billion to support various value chains in the country over the next 3 years. This gesture will uplift trade and local business, and by so doing, enhance the resilience of the ecosystems. Absa has done well to unlock opportunities for women-led enterprises by facilitating access to information, mentorship, networking opportunities, markets, and sustainable finance. With all this, I am confident that together we can drive our continent towards a future of greater possibilities and shared prosperity, especially by empowering women in trade right around the continent. In my ministry, I've been given very key goals to attract investments, both foreign direct and local investments. And I know that women form a very important part in fulfilling my mandate. So I welcome you to invest. In terms of industry, I have a target to increase manufacturing, and those who are already in manufacturing, we look forward to strengthening your businesses so that you scale, and finally to increase exports. I'm glad Flois, who is in my ministry, was here to discuss exports and create market out there, but also to manufacture things that we are unnecessarily importing. We are importing far too many things that we can make in this country. So ladies, mine was a commercial break from your conference to hear a story, and I hope it has inspired 1 or 2 people. Thank you, and God bless you.
Madam Waziri, that is too funny. You did not take up a lot of time. Was everybody else taking notes like me? Yes, I mean, Jaza, page 1. Confidence, competence, resilience. Resilience is so important. Hard work. I've always said you cannot outwork me. I'm not talented, by the way. I used to have a career in radio, and I worked with some talented people. But they can't outwork me. I outdid them every time. Every time. So here's what I would like to do. I would like to ask Madam Waziri to ensure we capture this moment in picture. Therefore, I'm going to ask you back on stage, and I'm going to ask our MD to join me on stage. Elizabeth, I want you, and a very important lady, before you make your way here. I want to introduce Mumbi Kahinda. She's the Absa Human Functions Director. She's in charge of people's confidence and competence and sometimes resilience. It's called PPI, where you were told, here's where we get resilient. Very important. So Mumbi, please join me on stage because I would really like to have this picture. And Audrey as well. Audrey, thank you. Please, Madam Waziri. Watu wangu wa mkono, toeni podium, mko? I think there's enough room here, even if you don't move. Are you guys happy if I move everybody over here? Yeah? Everybody's fine? Thank you. Thank you so much. Madam Waziri, I have been told my team at the back wako na ukarabati, but I also have things to do. There's a lady who was here at 7:15 this morning. Your story matters. I know you look at me like, no, Caroline, yes. She was here at 7:15 this morning for a 9:30 meeting, and I want to hear her story in the presence of the CS. Your story matters. Utaniambia story yako? Usikatae, please. Full name, what you do, she needs to know.
My name's Patricia Kijedi. I run Wamak Supplies. I'm the founder. And it's a beauty and cosmetics shop. I import mostly the scrubs and perfumes from all over Turkey, Dubai, Thailand, China, and India. I'm known for keeping time. Most of my friends know that. And I live in the diaspora. In Kenya, we say Kitengela is diaspora, but I'm always the first one. And I'm glad to be here. And Barclays, sorry, I started with Absa when it was Barclays. That's why Barclays is still in my head. And they've held my hand for the last 10 years. And I'm growing strong. I started with empty cartons in my shop. And right now, I'm bringing in full containers with the help of Barclays. And I'm so thankful because I'm always in all the Absa forums. I was in Ghana last year, and I met most of the Ghanaians that we were with there, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
I have a gift for you. Where's my consumer banking director from Absa? My consumer banking director. Yes, picha tafadhali. Iyo story ni kubwa. And she imports containers. Where? Apana, on stage. Come. On stage. Your story ni kubwa. Your story matters. I'm sure, to be honest, Madam Waziri, I didn't think it was that big. Huh? I was just happy with her resilience. I really was. I don't know, what did you take out of Waziri's speech? Anything that it clicked for you immediately? Because I'll be looking to hear from you. While my people there, they told me, we'd like to do some electrical engineering. I was like, You will not stop me from going on. I haven't had a chance to talk to you all day. So anybody want to tell me their story? Super. Here we go. Your name, of course, you need to stand up. The camera crew always give me a hard time when you don't stand up. Okay, and what you do?
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Phyllis Mwangi. I'm in training and consultancy on ISO, quality management, food safety, environment, occupational health and safety standards. And I'm happy to be here. And what I took from Waziri is the more competent you are, the more confident you are.
Yes. That was a big one. Oh, here we go. Here you go. Something good. The more competent you are, the more confident you are. Sipanganga mingi na kuna kitu najua. Here we go.
Good afternoon. My name is Masi Kemani. I'm very excited. Listening to Waziri, it's such a story to carry for the rest of my life. And one thing I'll take away today is the power of confidence. No matter your age, no matter what. It's just amazing to feel like, even at CS level, those voices come. So it just told me, you know what, keep on. And therefore, I'm so inspired to carry on. I'll tell you what I do, because it's a big achievement that has happened for me. I applied for a global franchise, and the battle was huge. But last year, I was able to purchase the Dale Carnegie Training Kenya franchise. Thank you. And I became the first woman in Kenya to have that franchise since 1999. Thank you. And I'm so excited that I also was the youngest in Africa to own a franchise. So as I listen to the story, I'm just saying we have to tell our stories. We were just talking with Stella and saying, we look at Kenya from politics and complain, but honestly, just listening to Aziri just inspired us to be good at whatever stage we are given. Thank you once again.
Here, a gift for you. Madam Waziri, whenever you want a selfie with her, let me know. Meanwhile, I'm taking a picture. Thank you so much. You won't believe this. My engineering team say electrical issues have been resolved. Now, and I doubted them when they said they wanted 5 minutes. I know that you're going to tell me about more reasons you were inspired by Madam Waziri. You know that voice she talked about, the one in the back of the head? Every woman has it, and which is why I was hoping that Mumbi would be here. I don't know whether you know the statistic. For every job that is advertised, women only apply if they meet 80% of the qualifications. Men will apply at 50%. Tutapangana hiyo ingine. Hiyo ingine tutapanga tukienda. By the way, and that's confidence. Yes. They might not be competent, but they're clear that they're going to do it. And we need to stop that. Also something else, and I'm sure you see this in government. Unless we write the lines, and women are encouraged to apply, women don't. Women don't. Let's stop that today. Now, I am collapsing 2 panels into one. I can do that. Have you seen my title? Master of Ceremonies. Ngojeni, niwaoneshe. Let me show you. So we were going to have a panel on finance and then sustainability. We're going to bring the 2 of them together in the interest of time, and I want to tell you how that works. Mkona vitu zangu hapa? Nikona vitu mingi. Okay. So where's Yvonne? I need your help. What I need to do is just make sure that everybody will be ready, yeah? And I can call them up, right? So who is moderating my panel? It will be Mary. Okay, from Absa, Madam Waziri, allow me to introduce Mary. Mary, please make your way to the stage. I am not playing with this panel. I have done Ukarabati in ways you cannot believe. Okay? And what you will do is you will be able to moderate this, Mary Githinji. But however, I'll be asking Elizabeth in a moment to open this discussion. Panelists for Mary are Caleb, Finance in Motion, Patrick Lumumba, AGF, Nuru. Is Nuru here? Did I see her? There you are. Come on and sit up here. Let Waziri have a look at you. Yes? Susan and Rosina, please have a seat. I want you to get used to the stage, yeah, as we get on with this conversation. Please, clap them all the way onto stage, please. Elizabeth, while everybody gets really comfortable in their seats, you get to start this conversation, okay? Have a seat, Mama. So we will start with your remarks, and then we'll hand over to Mary to moderate this panel. All right. You think this Ukarabati works?
Yes, it does.
Fantastic.
Anything.
All right, there we go. Guys of electrical, my microphone is not working, means you failed. Okay. Like the way you all quickly went. Thank you so much. Madam Waziri, our panel discussion.
All right, and good afternoon, everybody. All protocols observed. It's my pleasure to start off this conversation. It's all about strengthening access to finance for women-led businesses. And today, I just want to share some nuggets around it, especially around what can we do for ourselves, but also other stakeholders who are in this particular segment. So just to start us off, some statistics here. So we have 8 to 10 million former women-owned SMEs in emerging markets. That's by IFC. Can you imagine? That's the power of women. 8 to 10 million businesses that are owned by women. So we are just but a small piece of it, but look at it in the global way and see how much impact you have in the world, in the emerging markets. And women-owned SMEs account for 38% of all SMEs in emerging markets. Guys, women, we didn't start going to school very long ago, but that's how far we have come. And in Kenya, I tried to drill down a little on what Kenya has to show for it. 31.4% of the licensed SMEs are owned by women, compared to 48% owned by men, and 17 which are co-owned. So we are doing pretty well. I think when you look at the period it has taken for women to reach this level, I think we can say a lot of gains have been made, and we celebrate you women. You're part of this story, and well done, and you can give yourself a clap. You've done very well. Now, one of the statistics that made me a little sad is that 61% of unlicensed SMEs are solely owned by women. That we are doing ile ya mama mboga, it's not registered, it does not have any formality in it. And you heard one of the speakers saying, formalize, formalize, talk to KRA, they're outside and things like that. But let's look at what really ails women-led SMEs. It's said that women-led businesses grow or record slower growth. And that's what we want to change. That's the narrative we need to change. And hence, certain forums like these ones, like Absa, which are saying we want to spark growth. We want to inspire you to grow even faster and better. And there's many things that have been pointed out, but here are 5 that I thought we should just look at. There's institutional and regulatory issues. You know those things that you had being told that to get avocados out of the shamba all the way to another market, 50 hurdles that you have to really hoop over, that kind of thing, and many other things, and they're being addressed. I love that today the Ministry of Investment is headed by a woman because she can understand us and she can understand the woman. Lack of access to finance, we'll be delving into that. We have experts here, they're gonna do that. Then there's low business experience and education. Competence, guys, and that's a challenge that Waziri has just given us. Competence, competence, competence. That low business experience and education has everything to do with our competencies, and then now we add confidence on top of it. Then there's risk aversion. Women are generally risk averse. That small voice that speaks to us, that aversion, that also speaks to the slower growth that we are seeing in many of the women-led businesses. Then there's burden of household management responsibilities. We do a lot. We are powerhouses. When you stand here, you're a nurse, you're a mother, you're a businesswoman, you are in a woman's guild or something, all those things. I mean, women do a lot. So those other competing things are also taking some of the energy out of our businesses. We won't let them out, but we need to be aware about it so that we balance better and we get better results. And then choice of slow growth segments. So sometimes we just choose the things which are a little easier. When men take on renewable energy, those complex things that they take, and the women are sitting behind. So again, this is to challenge us to get out of those very comfortable places and dare. We must be daring. But let me move on to challenges around accessing finance, a critical ingredient for success. It's critical because if you don't have finances, even if you have the competence, you might not be able to move your or push your business to the next level. So there's one thing that stands out: lack of property rights protection. For a long time, women could not own property, and that stands out still today. We have very many women who do not have property rights. Then there is the informal business structures that we talked about, misleading conceptions on women competences. Sometimes people don't understand us. They don't understand women, and therefore they have conceptions around our competencies. It's for us to bring out with confidence what we can do, that we are capable, that we have the ability. And then there's lack of education, skills, capacity building, and technical assistance. There are ways to deal with that, and I'll look at it quickly. And then weak transparency and management skills, competencies in areas to do with management. How do we strengthen access to finance? And who are these actors who need to come through for us? We choose 4. yourself. You're the first person you need to bootstrap yourself. You need to lift yourself out of wherever you are so that you can rise and everybody can see you. These financial institutions, Absa is already doing it, so we can clap for Absa there. I think that's a very, very good thing. But financial institutions cut across very many actors. So banks are just but one of them. We are more than that. Then there is, of course, government. And I love it that government is represented here. And finally, there's the non-government actors. They play a really major role. And quickly we look at what government can do. I love starting with government because governments are just for giving you good environment and you thrive. If you get the environment, you've got the energy, you've got the competencies, you've got everything that you need to then progress your business. So they need to help us to create linkages to incubators and accelerators. And of course, they have done quite a bit, but sometimes we don't know about it. You need to get to know where those incubators and accelerators who are being championed by government create and promote strong investment climate and governance. We can speak the whole day about this, but of course we know that that's why, for example, Waziri was telling us, she has a mandate, she has an objective to meet certain goals. That's not her to do it. She just open the doors, give us that environment, and it's for us to forge that way forward. Then expanding financial infrastructure so that things like credit bureaus and collateral registries become more accessible. How many of us know about movable property registry in Kenya? How many people know about it? See, very few people. Today you can use movable property to actually borrow, but we don't know about it. We need to be aware of such things. It's already, the law was already enacted and it is active. So we are busy looking maybe for titles, while actually you can use a movable property to secure a facility. So that's already available. So you can see sometimes government is ahead of us. We just don't know when did they move, who will empower us and bring out this information so that majority of us, especially women, we can use, since we don't have title deeds. Maybe we have movable properties, even jewelry, you have nice ones. Then design, the government needs to design effective government support mechanism. And I looked at just a comparison between what we have in the US. The US has US Small Business Administration. If you just log into that website, it has so much. Then I tried to do it for Kenya. They're all in segment. I had to go to Hustler Fund. There was something for women, and there was something about it. There was Women Enterprise Fund. There's Micro and Small Enterprise Authority. There's KIP. I mean, there's quite a lot. So fragmented, but they're there. If you look, you actually get support that you require, and I like that the clarion call even from the government is show up, just engage them. They are there, they're using our taxes, and they are ready to give us service, but they are there. I think the only thing I really was, concerned about is the fact that I have to go to very many different places to get different information. Maybe if it can be consolidated, that would be very, very good. How about the financial institutions? And that's where we are. I'm in a financial services group. And what can we do differently? Flexi loan conditions. I think sometimes we are very rigid. Things have changed, it's better, but I think there's still room for improvement there. Demystifying banking operations and services to SMEs. A lot of times I talk to business owners. They actually cannot differentiate an MFI, a commercial bank, a SACCO. They think all of them are the same, and many others. So we need to just demystify banking operations and even how banks, just operate so that we don't become these rigid entities that are unapproachable. Then there's developing financial tools that SMEs can tap into. Like, let's look at SMEs as a value chain, not singularly, and that's where aggregation comes in, and they look at the full value chain, and we give you solutions that touch across the ecosystem, devolve from lending lenses to partnerships. This is what Absa is doing. We are moving away from calling you for loans, come take a loan, come take a facility, to partnership. We want to understand you. We want to understand what you're going through so that we can orientate our services towards meeting your need, and then, of course, proactively and profitably engage women entrepreneurs as clients. I think Absa is leading in that, and I'm very proud of that. Many more need to do exactly that. And then together with investment banks, I think it's time that we expanded financial products from just being loans to non-loan products like equities. How can you raise equity, venture capital things, debt, which is not necessarily the standard bank loan, but debt products which are different. So just making it a little wider so that you don't, as a business, you don't just rely on bank loan. Bank loan is just one form of capital. There are many forms of capital, even quasi-equity, quasi-debt. We can actually do all those things. So we need to increase the flavor of capital sources for these businesses. Then finally, just go to the ground. Go and listen to the people. Go and listen to the businesses. Financial services must get out of their big buildings, headquarters, and go to the ground. And that's what Absa has done. We come to the ground. If it is our agricultural guys, they come to the ground. I think the only bankers who say they are agriculturalists. Then NGOs and non-government actors, what can they do better? Research. I think one of the things that we will need to make better decisions is data. So research is really, really important. I know by yourself you might not be able to carry a whole industry research, but if this research is provided by these non-government actors, that will help us to have better insights that can support the women entrepreneurs. They need also to proactively help business owners understand legal and policy frameworks properly and in detail, build more inclusive public-private dialogues, which are very important because you cannot operate outside, the government frameworks and things like that. And then we also need them to lead efforts to gather gender disaggregated data on SME finance in a coordinated fashion. So right now, a lot of the data, when I was doing my research, it's all SME, but we are not disaggregating. We need to go now to the next level, disaggregate so that even products can be created which are proper and meaning to yourself. Now, to you, and this is the slide that I love most because what can you do for yourself to access finance? Several things that I want to put across for your consideration. One, and this is a repetition, formalize your business. That you must do. We must be ready to formalize. I know we fear because taxman will be behind us. It's a lot of work keeping records and things like that. But unless you formalize, you'll not be able to take advantage of larger markets. You'll continue operating in small markets. Then the second one is be interested in matters finance, economics, not just for profit margin. Many times, we know what margin we are making in our product or service, but we know only that. I want you to expand your knowledge towards economics. Why does it matter that Kenya is having high inflation? How does it affect cocoa growing in Ghana? It does, doesn't it? It does, guys. So you can't shut yourself from knowing what's happening around the economy and the world. Why is fighting in Ukraine important to your business? Maybe you don't even import, but it is important. So just open yourself to knowledge around finance, economics, and you don't need to be an expert, but consume it nonetheless. Consume it so that you know how it integrates with the business. Then establish strong governance structures. That's something that SMEs, I think, need to work on very much, where we are saying it starts with a one-man show, and so governance is actually in the bedroom. Please move governance from the bedroom to boardrooms and to involve, to have proper, controls for your small businesses. And when you're small, you actually not struggle when you're bigger. So let decisions be made properly and documented properly, because when those grants are being given, they want to see that kind of governance and that kind of structure. Even when banks are lending, they're asking for properly documented information. So don't cut yourself loose by having poor governance structures and controls. Empower your employees and staff. I know many times we say, this is in the informal sector, we don't consider ourselves very formalized, but I say this is actually the engine for most of the economies in Africa. So indeed, it is the main thing. There's nothing else which is main. Why are we waiting for multinationals? It is the main thing. So we need to empower our employees because they are the ones who are progressing the agenda for that business. Empower them by making sure that you hire right, and you sustain them for excellence. Give them excellence. Don't maintain them there low. Please help them to come up. And I love the stories that sometimes I hear from people who are working in SMEs and they have worked for very many years and they've succeeded and made really big strides. Finally, be part of the formal business communities. Ensure to have healthy P&L, but also a healthy balance sheet. Balance sheet is always ignored. Please don't ignore it. Keep dreaming. Don't stop dreaming because you need to be there long after you're gone. This needs to be multi-generational. How can you thrive, grow, flourish financially with Absa? Some things that I thought are important: cash and near cash products, long-term cash generative products. You have secure ways of securing your employees, and of course, financial wellness. I don't want to go into detail because the panelists here need to give it a really good dive in. So back to you, Mary.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Madam Waziri, Elizabeth Irungu is the head of Absa Asset Management, and without doubt, one of the most thought-provoking conversations we've had so far. Right, ladies? Please. Now, Mary, I want to give this over to you. You're going to watch the clock. You're all going to be good to Mary. If she says you have 3 minutes, it's 3 minutes, and if you don't do this, we'll run it like the Oscars. I will kill your microphones. I'm kidding. Over to you. Let me let this podium go, gentlemen. Thank you. All yours.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And I know I am standing in between you and your lunch. So we shall keep this very, very practical, very engaging. And I know we've had several conversations around business mentorship. We've talked about digitizing your business. Elizabeth has talked about, all these strategies that we need to apply. Honorable CS has talked about courage. And I think that's a thing we need to dwell on as we have this conversation. So out of all these conversations, the one thing that sticks at the heart is the fact that you need money, right? As a business owner sitting here in this room, as we have these conversations, I think about your business and think about those moments where you haven't been courageous enough to actually ask for the money, yeah? So what are some of the strategies that you can deploy in your business, whether you're a small business, a medium business, a large business, that will allow you to scale? And then we're going to talk about sustainable finance, and some of the names here are not new to you people, and what that means for your business as a small business, a medium business, or a large business. But before we do that, I will not be doing my panelists justice if I did not introduce them, because they are the experts anyway. So I will start with our he for she, right at the far end, Mr. Patrick Lumumba. He's the Group Director, Capacity Development at AGF. We've all heard about the strategic partnership we've had with AGF. And Patrick is a development finance specialist with experience spanning over 20 years. He's worked differently with different financial institutions in Africa as well as internationally. So prior to joining AGF, Patrick was the head of social performance management for Grameen Foundation, and he might tell us a bit about what that was. And he's a Kenyan national. He holds a master's degree in marketing from Kenyatta University. He's also a certified expert in climate finance and SME finance from Frankfurt School. He's passionate about impact and capacity enhancement across different development finance value chains in Africa. Patrick, karibu sana. I will now introduce Nuru Mugambi. I think a lot of us Kenyans, this is not a new name in the market. Nuru is a champion for sustainable finance, gender diversity, digital accessibility, and consumer protection. Do we need to say more? So Nuru was recognized as a top 25 global influencer in green finance and she has advised and trained policymakers and industry associations in Kenya, Liberia, Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Eastern Caribbean, among others, proper Pan-African. Her work includes establishing Sustainable Finance Initiative, the Kenya Bond Program, and Inuka SME Program for Kenya Bankers Association. Her policy work has enabled millions of Kenyans to access finance, including through the National Credit Guarantee Scheme. As a gender advocate, she sits and chairs the Angaza Forum. Karibu Nuru. And then we have my colleague, Pia, from Mauritius. Welcome, Rosina. And I'll do a quick intro of Rosina. Rosina is currently the head of Affluent and SME Banking for Absa Bank Mauritius. Rosina is passionate about women, about empowerment across Africa. She has a remarkable career spanning over 28 years in the banking industry, and she has worked for 3 local in Mauritius banks before joining Absa. She's also spearheaded creation of a comprehensive suite of financial solutions, specifically tailored for businesses and women. And she'll be telling us a bit more about that. Karibu, Rosina. And then we have Caleb. Hello, Caleb. Another he for she. Caleb, give me a minute, is the MD of Cultivos, but also we know him better because of Finance in Motion, who has been a critical partner to Absa. So he's the managing director for Cultivos Limited, a multi-sector company registered in Ghana, Mozambique, and the UK. They specialize in capital raising, structuring, and advisory services. So please mark Caleb because of capital raising. And we know a lot of our businesses require that. So Cultivos Group boasts extensive expertise in agriculture, agribusiness, financial institutions, fintech, renewable energy, oil and gas, and engineering within the region. He serves as a strategic advisor to Finance in Motion, where he provides market opening and structuring support across West, East, and Southern Africa. Before Cultivos, Caleb worked as an investment banker for Morgan Stanley and the Royal Bank of Scotland in the UK. Now, the rest are many, but I will pause there. And lastly, I will introduce Susan, who needs really no introduction. She's a friend, mentor, a partner who has grown a lot of women in Absa. And more importantly, she has spearheaded alongside Elizabeth the forming, the birthing of the Women in Business proposition and the SME proposition in Absa. Karibu, Susan. It's a bit strange to introduce her differently because now she's the director for programs at AECF, but a very good friend to Absa. Karibu Nisana. All right, so without further ado, I think let's get into it, and I'll kick off with Patrick, really, because when we talk about the opportunities of women in accessing finance, we have to start from the challenges, yeah? And we've had the numbers, a lot of numbers, and numbers only make sense if they're relevant to you. So, Patrick, maybe you can share, what are some of the financial challenges that women are facing, especially in Africa, that are hindering us from really exploring that access to finance?
Thank you. The challenges. Okay, thank you so much for the invitation and part of this group of eminent panelists. There are so many challenges that affect women SMEs. I think as has been alluded to for the last, since yesterday. Key to note is, again, one word that has been for the last 2 days is competence. In our case, we refer to it as investment or credit readiness. Basically competence. In as far as access to finance, that is a contributor. But if you're given 100 million right now, there was a time when we were growing up and we used to indicate that if I'm given 100 million right now, I'll go crazy. So similarly, giving someone who is not credit ready is dangerous. Ultimately, he or she will not be prepared to uptake and effectively utilize that facility and repay back to the bank. So for us, one of the key elements that we provide in the SME value chain is support or capacity building to women SMEs. And we work very closely with our partner financial institutions in Africa. Currently, we are working with over 200 partner financial institutions in 43 countries. And I'm very proud that Absa is one of our partners. Apart from accessing our guarantee, we also are providing capacity development for the bank in its initiatives to train, mentor, and make women SMEs credit ready. The other aspect that we duly consider, and again, emphasis has been on competence on women SMEs. However, this is a value chain. It's a financing value chain. Competence is also required at financial institution level. A woman SME may be ready, but does the bank have the right staff who appreciate the unique needs of a woman-led SME? Does the bank have the relevant value proposition that appreciates the profile of women SMEs that it's targeting? So this is fundamental, that competence needs to be along the value chain so that the chain is solid enough. That will unlock over 52%, as a study with Genesis confirmed, that 52% of women SMEs want credit, but they cannot access. So again, as AGF, one of the other things that we do, apart from providing capacity development at the supply end, which is the bank, and at the demand end, which is the SME, we also provide a tailor-made guarantee facility to sort of demystify the risks that are laid on. In fact, somebody said yesterday they are biases. They're not risks. Because statistics has proven again that SMEs, and specifically women SMEs, are better repairs. So again, we provide that cushion or risk-sharing mechanism in the form of guarantee to enable the bank move with confidence to provide financing to women SMEs, get into sectors that they perceive as risky more confidently. And for us, the guarantee that we provide to enhance financing to women SME is highly discounted as compared to our usual guarantee. So with all these mechanisms, we are able to address the challenges that women face in accessing financing. Of course, through our capacity, we are able to facilitate women SMEs to have platforms whereby they can share ideas, access mentors, and be able to solve challenges in a more practical way. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Patrick, for that. And as we speak about capacity building, as we talk about what banks look for, I know, Susan, you've done a lot of work around addressing both financial and non-financial challenges that women face. And, you know, also some of those partnerships that we've had to be able to start to resolve some of those things. Maybe speak about the non-financial as well, challenges, both, and how we've been able to resolve that with AGF.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I love the energy in the room. I just wanted to tell Waziri, that one of the things I took out from her conversation is that there's no shortcut to greatness. And indeed, success has a formula, yeah? But as I do that, I also really wanted to take the opportunity to say what else you can do for these women. I know you are implementing a lot of policies and initiatives, especially around the EPZ. How do we drive a gender lens? And maybe gender lens, you could think about it like unconscious bias, like you want to do training, but really affirmative action would probably be one of the things you would do, especially as you go now into the counties. And I'm sure for Africa, that would really support us, because we know men are still at the helm of making decisions, right, in some of these places. And maybe seeing what matching funds can you give as government to banks, right? I know we had the GOK guarantee for COVID, but if the money went to banks, they would actually subsidize the interest rate for the women. You want lower interest rates, right? Yes, so that would really, really support. And it can be matching funds that banks match and support the conversation. So I thought, let me put those two over there, because I know the challenges of these women. We've worked with them. And it's part of the reason why we actually started the non-financial while I was still at Absa, to really support them. Because most of the time you will see they will come into the room, but when it comes to access to finance, actually statistics show that women only access 40% of what men are able to raise. What does that mean? It means that there's a bit more work that we need to do with the women to access more. And therefore, the reason why we do the non-financial at Absa, so it's under 4 pillars. So there is the access to mentorship and coaching, which is very critical in supporting the women make the next steps. I know we had the session with the CAM CEO in the morning, and it felt like, oh my God, you probably just need to give up before you start. But honestly, that's the reason the institutions exist, to be able to help you walk the journey, right? And it can be one of those things that even the bank thinks about having gender advisors. And I know Absa has done a lot of work to support the bankers, the relationship managers, to understand the needs of women, and invested a lot of that, so that when you come through, they're able to be patient and understand what is that you need, and how do we walk that journey with you. And with TA available, of course, from AGF, it's very structured. And I know later today, they're actually graduating a cohort that has been going through training with Melanin Capital, funded by AGF, that has just supported them understand how do we access finance. I know part of the other challenges there is actually that thinking of, my business is too small. How do I go to a bank? You know, maybe the bank needs to be reserved to those who need big money, right? And therefore you find, as women, we end up in a rat race, getting funding at interest rates that don't make sense. I won't talk about Shylocks, I promise, but interest rates that don't make sense, and therefore you're not breaking even, yeah? And I think I don't know whether it's a cultural issue, how we were raised, seeing our role models being men at that time, and I know this, I speak for Africa, in terms of then being the ones that go to the bank to seek funding, and therefore you feel, no, I think mine is a smaller one. But honestly, it takes the same amount of effort. And I think we just need to liberate ourselves and say, we can go. I think I always say that whoever sits inside the bank is actually a human being, ready to listen, ready to hear, and give you better advice and help you walk the journey. So those are some of the challenges I see, and that's the reason why non-financial services, I can't underscore enough the role of mentorship, the role of coaching, the role of capacity building. But there's more. There is partnerships like the ones Absa has with ITC, that International Trade Center, that supports you walk the journey to do exports and get into the global markets. So that's a key one, because you need to understand, how do you package yourself? How do you negotiate with buyers? How do you make sure you come out with the best deal? And how do you know you're going to sustain the deliveries that are required once you have to fill the container? And Waziri, in the morning we now need a container to go to Ghana. So we've managed to organize ourselves to bring stuff to Kenya, but now we need to organize ourselves from Kenya to go to Ghana, or to go to Gambia, or to go to other places. So ITC supports that conversation of accessing markets, but also partnered with other corporates that are looking for women to place in their supply chains. And that's a very key ingredient that has supported the She Business proposition, because then they work with, whether it's Safaricom, KRA itself, the large corporates that are known, especially in Kenya, and I believe in Ghana as well. Audrey has done such a good job of also working with MasterCard Foundation to bring funding that is at reduced rates for the women, and across, actually. So that's also one of the key ingredients to being successful, working with Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Chambers of Commerce, because if you really want to go far, you don't walk alone, you go with others who are like-minded. The last pillar is access to information, and this is really through forums like this, where you are able to share with each other. And I know for women, we are biased. We always want to hear from somebody else who went, tested, and they got help, right? So it's not enough to just put it up there and say we are doing this. I think this is the best platform for peer learning and being able to just know, how are you dealing with these challenges? And I applaud all those women that have been able to share their inspiring stories. So it's more around being holistic in how we provide access to women, yeah.
Thank you for those insights, Susan. And I know there are certain nuances that are unique to certain markets, but there's also, the universal truths around some of the challenges women face. And let me jump to Rosina from Mauritius, because I know you guys have been doing a lot of work, research, bringing up propositions for women. And what are some of those nuances, challenges you're seeing, and how are you resolving as you put out some of these solutions for women, especially around accessing finance?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Indeed, Mauritius is a small island, right? 1.2 million population. But as much as we are small, the SME market contributes to 40% of the GDP. So can you imagine, this is quite strong. And we are still young in terms of women-led businesses. That's why we decided to, together with our EDB, the Economic Development Board, we decided to do surveys to understand the challenges, to understand what women need really to grow. And listening since yesterday is the same challenges. Access to finance, technology, of course, capacity, knowledge, competence, and there we connect all the dots. Across Africa, Mauritius, we are facing the same situation. And of course, Absa has undertaken to really participate because we believe in diversity. We believe that having no gender, which I really relate to, but diversity will really grow the economy, will bring tremendous change in the economy. So believing in that, understanding these changes have helped us to come across several initiatives. But above initiative, Mary, what I want to tell you, very often and very recently, we've been meeting women. And when they think of bank, just imagine, it's Jeff. It's the voice again. And when we meet men, bank will follow. So it's a unique way of thinking. But let me reassure you, ladies, we are not bankers. We are just trusted partners. And we believe to accompany you. We understand. The first thing we do at Absa is understanding your business, understanding your trade cycle, understanding each and every one challenges. Because yes, we have identical challenges, but as much as we have identical challenges, each business has its own challenges. So this is where it's not about giving one size fits all. It's really about flexibility. And one thing we forget, it's about simplicity. It's so complex sometimes that we tend to say, oh no, I'm not going forward. But we need to be simple. Bankers, partners, we are your partners. We need to be simple because we believe in women. And as much as we believe in you, this is our journey to really help you to grow, and build a sustainable business. So this is the first thing that we are doing, providing flexible and easy and simple credit facilities, simple finance, even CapEx. So there is no limit. It's just understanding and finding the right solution. There's always a solution. I always tell my team, we never say no to clients. But I will tell you something. Very often when ladies come to us, there's no, maybe. But don't take no's for answer, because the no's will be the yes with the right solution. We need to find the right thing that you're doing, and you'll be amazed. There is a solution. That's one thing. And also, together with ITCDB, we are really working on all the capacity change, mentoring program. So this is really creating a movement. And it will be not only for Mauritius, but across Africa. And I'm proud to say that in Mauritius, we will be launching the platform for people to connect, for users, businesses to connect on a B2B, B2C, and e-commerce. And we are talking about technology to make you climb the ladder to the next level. So it's really about rewriting the story to a new, brave ending, and planting that seed together with the light, together with the rain, so that to grow a really great tree. So this is what Absa does. It's about partnering, collaboration, and not competition, but collaboration. And think about bank as partners, and I'm sure you will be amazed. And I'm proud to say that at Absa, I'm seeing what Kenya has been doing, Ghana has been doing. And I'm looking forward so that next year I can say what Mauritius, in terms of figures, has been doing too. But we are a believer in you, and we know we will succeed together.
Thank you so much, Rosina. Thank you so much for that. And, it's about the whole package. It's not just money. Yeah, it's also the non-financial that you're giving. And as we talk about that and segue into sustainable finance, right? Because you also want financing that's, that's going to take your business to the next level. Nuru, let me get to you, because you've done a lot of work around sustainable finance, gender diversity, but yet, the numbers are what they are, right? We're hearing them. The opportunity is massive, but what is being financed towards women is so minimal. What do you make of that?
Thanks so much. So maybe I can start by giving some context on what sustainable finance is, we're all on the same table. We know that sustainability has 3 dimensions. So there's the economic dimension, there's the social dimension, and there's the environmental dimension. So effectively, sustainable finance looks at sustainability through those 3 dimensions, but most importantly, through 2 streams. The first being risk management, and I think we've heard a lot about risk management, and we've heard about perceived risk. The types of risk that we look at under this stream is the environmental, social, and governance risk. And I think one of the reasons why you hear your bankers say it's important to have good governance is because actually good governance is a leading indicator on the sustainability of your businesses. I happen to sit on the steering committee for KIEP, and we go through hundreds of applications from entrepreneurs and small businesses looking for technical assistance from the Ministry of Industry. And what I find, and I'm the one committee member who is always like, what is up with governance? You find women-owned businesses whom I insist should be supported have been around for 5 years, 10 years, but they don't have a board of directors. They might have one mentor or one advisor, but they don't have formal structures. So when we talk about challenges around access to finance, governance is core, not only because it's good for you to have that sounding board to guide you on your business, but that's what your financiers are looking at, because again, it's a leading indicator. And of course, environmental risk, why it's increasingly important, and it's going to continue to be important, because we all know what's happening with climate change. All of us come from a village somewhere. We all know a farmer who is struggling to try to figure out when to plant, and we're losing product, we're losing quality. So the environment is a big issue. And how I try to contextualize that is, we all know what we went through with COVID, right? We saw the social tax of COVID. We saw the economic tax. We saw the financial cost of COVID. Now imagine COVID only cost us 3% of our GDP. Climate change is going to cost between 5 to 15%. So what we went through with COVID pales into comparison when we look at what we're about to experience if the full effects of climate change are going to be realized by 2030. So that's why you're seeing sustainable finance as an important aspect.
and an increasingly important aspect. In Kenya, you see our central bank is guiding banks and requiring banks to start reporting on climate risk and environmental risk. That means in time, your bankers are going to start asking you about your carbon footprint. And why carbon footprint is important is because obviously we know it contributes to climate change, so we're trying to manage this. So when you start hearing these questions and conversations, it's important as business owners that we start learning the language, we start building capacity. I saw on the, do you say WUVA, this platform that we're all on, how do you say? Yeah, so I saw on the WUVA platform there was a question about sustainability and how do you get started, and it's expensive. I would say that sustainability is a mindset. We need to think about sustainability not only because of what I've just explained, but also because of who we are as Africans. If you think about your grandmother, she would plant, like from where I'm from Meru. We have bananas. My grandma would have her bananas, would eat the bananas. She would take the peels of those bananas and give it to the cows. The cows would produce milk, would produce meat, fertilizer, and it's a circular economy, isn't it? So when you start hearing us about sustainability, you hear about the transition to the green economy, you start hearing about net zero. Yeah, it's kizungu mingi, but effectively it's who we are as Africans. We need to be responsible stewards of our assets. So really that's what sustainable finance is looking at, to drive capital towards risk management and also impact. So this is where I'm going to challenge my brother Abdi. Where is the gender bond, brother? Ooh, we need a gender bond, okay? Because when you look at what's happening, and I think, yeah, please let's clap on this. Clap on this. We need a gender bond. When you see what's happening in other markets, Tanzania next door, they raised East Africa's first gender bond. They have a pipeline. This is your pipeline. Your pipeline's in the room, you have your partners. Pricing is too high in this market, so you need to blend your capital so you can lower that interest rate the way my sister here in Ghana is being able to do. And I do think those are the practical examples of what sustainable finance is.
All right, thank you, Nuru, for that. And I think I'll allow Caleb to just delve a little deeper, yeah? So we have people exhibiting, the processing casuals, there's agribusiness, and I think it's what Nuru was, starting to touch on. So me sitting in the room as a small business, thinking about this sustainable finance and all those kizungu mingi, like Nuru says, how do I start to align myself or work towards becoming a sustainable business? Because we also know there's a lot of inclination to financing that's hived off for those kinds of businesses. Where do I start?
Good afternoon, everyone. And I think I'll just speak on what Nuru has mentioned. And first of all, just to give a background with what Finance in Motion is doing. The aim of Finance in Motion is to partner with financial institutions across sub-Saharan Africa, and Absa being a very key partner in this case, and is to make sustainable finance practical, measurable, and also to add value through partnerships that the fund has with other institutional investors, other strategic investors looking to bring in the right expertise, not just money, into this potential transaction. So kind of touching your question, I think the first thing, and some of the things that have been highlighted earlier today, is to start with what we say market-driven, right? So we've spoken a lot about the challenges, but there are a lot of untapped opportunities that we don't have. If you're looking at cashew, if you want to take it as a value chain, and one of the things we've done as well across all the countries that Finance in Motion is operational is to go in and try to do a deep dive, so a market studies of key value chains, so a blend of not just the export, but also the ones that would guarantee food security and emerging value chains. And in a way to understand how we could add value to make that sustainable from that aspect. And so picking that example, I would say is to start, there is an existing market. And I was just speaking to a cashew trader in Ghana 2 weeks ago, and when I mentioned to them that I'll be coming to Kenya or spending time in East Africa, they were they were crying of having a buyer in the Middle East that is looking, because the output in West Africa hasn't been so good. So the buyers are waiting to tap into the East African market, starting maybe in Tanzania, as soon as the season starts. So we should start by leveraging on what we already have. And addressing once you're starting with the market, you will know the needs of that market to satisfy it. So quality is one, certification is one. So that once you are approaching then a financial institution, and touching also what all the other panelists have mentioned from a de-risking manner, if you go and say, listen, I have this volume of demand, this is the quality of the off-taker, this is what they need in terms of me being certified to be able to supply X volume of products, then it makes it more attractive to that bank to look at it. And what we do as well is to try to translate that demand into the language of a banker, so that the bank would then feel compelled to address that.
Wow, I hope we're all learning. And I know there are quite a number of questions coming through from all of you on the platform. And I'll be giving a chance to a few questions if time allows. Caroline is looking at me badly. But let me answer some of the questions that are coming through on the app. And I'll direct them to my panelists, and I'll start with you, Patrick. There's somebody here asking, there are several grants and funding organizations across the globe. How does one get training on how to apply for grants? Or are there organizations that actually train someone on how to apply for grants and funding?
Yeah, training on how to apply for grants, I think that's an interesting one. I think this, again, is also part of investment preparedness for women SMEs, how to pitch your business to potential investors, how to network. And I'm glad that Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry CEO, Dr. is around, and we're exploring partnership with them. Organizations and associations that work, promote, train SMEs are all over. And again, part of the challenges women SMEs, or SMEs generally face, is lack of information. Where can we get information? There are a lot of government authorities, organizations, there are a lot of development institutions that have these particular grants, and there are a lot of platforms also nowadays within the internet that somebody again can go through on how to package a proposal. So all these aspects are available for SMEs, and specifically for women SMEs, where currently it's a lot of there's a lot of soft spot for women SME financing, youth SME financing, climate financing. So again, it's all about how you network and how you inquire and where you are a member of, because the membership organization also play a critical role. Thank you.
All right, Susan, you want to weigh in?
Yes, I wanted to say in my role at Africa Enterprise Challenge Fund, we actually give grants and loans with a bias towards agribusiness and renewable energy, and across sectors, especially for women, youth, and people, people in fragile communities, helping them build resilience, especially when it comes to climate change. So it is possible to get the funding. I would say capacity building, don't underestimate the pitching sessions that Patrick has talked about to help you be the best. And we run enterprise challenges. I think we are arguably the largest challenge fund that is still existing, having run almost close to 50 enterprise challenge funds. And therefore, happy to have that discussion.
So guys, please make sure you mark Susan and see her on the side during lunch.
If I may, just
yes, Nuru, go ahead.
Yeah, so from my experience in terms of the applications we see and what we look at when we're shortlisting for the funding from the government, again, governance structures is important. Your strategic business planning is important, being able to articulate that. We also look at years, how many years you've demonstrated your business. So we look at that, and I know that it disadvantages entrepreneurs, but of course, the entrepreneur pathway is a bit different from those who are established. The entrepreneur pathway, I would advise you go for the business plan competitions. That's the best way to get your ideas and plans challenged and vetted. Also, your banking relationship matters. So that's something that we also look at. We look to see, have banks taken a stake on you? Because you see, banks, part of the role that banks play in the community is risk management, right? So the allocation of risk and capital. So sometimes grant donors look to see, do you have a formal banking relationship? Because when that happens, they know KYC is there, governance is there, there's certain commercial viability. And finally, I would say the sustainability angle is important for a lot of donors. I think the world over is looking to solve these big global challenges. The more you can align with the SDGs, and for me as a Pan-Africanist, the more you can align with Africa Agenda 2063, the more you can align with your national plan, I think the more you have a viable application.
Perfect. Thank you, Nuru, for those insights. And I think from a bank perspective, and I'll give this to Rosina, you know, there's somebody here asking, what if my business is unregistered, but I've been doing bookkeeping, but I have limited financial records? How do I go about that? And what if my business is purely online? How do you go about providing financing for me?
As a bank, of course, we will, there are some policy, not some governance that we need, the minimum. If you're not registered, that's complicated. But I think you, at each and every business, the most important thing, when you get an idea, register your business. This is very important. Yes, bookkeeping, is it something that we can't consider? It depends. I talk about flexibility. I don't want to jump, but there are things coming in Mauritius especially because we don't look only at financials, because we are creating that hub to make women learn how to build financial, giving support for that. But in the meantime, even if it's e-commerce, somewhere there's a book, somewhere it's being banked, so maybe the financing will not be right away, but we will guide you to register. We will guide you to bank the proceeds. And of course, this is the starting of how we will help you to give the finance.
Perfect, Rosina. And I know, Susan, you want to add. And as you add, there's another question that says, what are some of the things that I must avoid if I want to get financing easily? So you can double.
Yeah, so just come as you are to the bank with your records. I know Absa takes M-Pesa statements, they take SACCO statements, they take your other bank statements for 12 months and do analysis. They have analysis tools. The most important thing you need to do is make sure there's a record. There's a record that says, I received 1,000 today at the store because somebody purchased X, and therefore I've banked it, and I will not exchange cash over the counter with a supplier. Because that track record is what will help me know that I can invest in you. It's only cash that a financier will see. And that cash is what they need to track. So for me, that's the most important thing. So if you have it somewhere, come. And I think that's why technical assistance is available to support you understand how do you structure yourself. Yeah, so don't shy away. I think it's very important that you still come.
Perfect. Thank you, Susan. I think the last question and I'll address this to Caleb. So we've run a lot of programs with our partners, including the SHE program. So, and I know you probably might not have directly been involved, but we've run successful programs with Finance in Motion. What are some of the things that make collaborations and partnerships so successful?
I think one is just early this morning, met one of the members here in the dairy sector, and she approached myself and my colleague she's run that, she has about 600 farmers now, and is looking to move to the next stage, because then there's that thought of export. and how to improve then the quality. And I think that's one of the reasons why Finance in Motion stays very committed in providing this technical assistance. But I just want to use the opportunity to highlight something in relation to the grants. I think for all of us here in the room, we should see it as an opportunity to elevate us to move to a financial sustainable state. That will help in multiple layers. It provides, then the challenge is, if you're a recipient of a grant, how do you make sure that next year you're able to show that the business is financially sustainable? It creates room for more people to benefit from the same grant, so that we don't stay in the realm of grantpreneurs, right? But really moving them to sustainable business. And that really ties to why Finance in Motion provides this technical assistance, because it's a way to elevate and to take us out and to make us grow as companies from MSMEs to SMEs and big corporates.
Perfect. Thank you. And I want to open it up to any questions in the room. Don't know, Caroline, do you have questions? Oh, yes.
I just want to know when the workshop is, because workshops are needed. Over lunch, let's discuss how many workshops we want. We come back, we tell Absa.
There's a very quick hand there, lady in blue.
Lady in
turquoise.
Blue. Where? Oh, there you are. Oh, you know, I have the microphone and I don't have my glasses. I squint in one eye. That's something you don't know about me. Here we go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Njoki Kivuti, the founder and the CEO of Too Much Sauce, and a daughter of Zion. So Too Much Sauce is a condiment company. We are in the agri space, so we add value to, we work with smallholder farmers, so we add value in order to be able to make every life of every woman in here a little bit easier in the kitchen. So see me later. Now, Too Much Sauce is at a place where we feel like it's time for us to scale up. And scaling up, you have mentioned to us, Caleb and the team, about what we can do. But as I'm looking out for equity investors, venture capitalists, I'd like you to just give me 3 pointers of what I can consider as a partner for partnership. Especially because a lot of women here, at times we shy away from this particular space, because also, as you have been talking about, building capacity and making sure that we are well knowledgeable, especially in terms of finance. I think there's one challenge that I feel like there are areas that we forget. Sometimes there's a finance jargon that at times, you know, flies over our head, because sometimes we, as business people, we are creative. So does also your company, does it help us in terms of the law aspect of entering into some of these partnerships with some of these institutions? So kindly, if you could address that, thank you.
Thank you.
That is a good question.
Should we take a few more and then address that?
Yes, there's one more right next to, yes.
Thank you so much. My name is Teresia from Social Usanga Marketing Society from Laikipia. My big concern is that now we know that we have those women who are marginalized from those communities, who have never been in business, and we want to empower them to start the business. After you empower them, most of these women doesn't even have the phones, even the smartphones. And then also number two, after the training, most of the trainings from the banks, they want to see the bank statement, they want to see the M-Pesa statement, and for sure, most of these women, they have not been getting such statements. Now, after we empower them, how do we help them to start the business since they cannot afford to get such statements? And again, when you tell them to go and start saving, They open their account, they start saving. What are they going to save since they do not have money? I think that now we have to see how we can build that gap, and also we do not leave them behind, because most of them have been empowered, but getting finances, the seed capital to start the business has been a challenge.
It's a very good question.
Mary, are you ready? One
Yes.
more or two is good?
Let's do two, and then we'll see if we can circle back.
Sawa
Okay,
sawa.
I'll start with Tuma source. I think I will try to break it down, the financial jargons, and I'll say in determining how you want to expand, look at it for what I will call the Holy Trinity: access to inputs, access to value addition, and access to market. And from a value chain angle, what is actually missing? So why do you want to expand? Is it because you want to scale up your access to the inputs? Understanding what you just described, Truman Source is more in the space of value addition. So you're in the middle of that access to input and access to market. So are you expanding to address an existing market? Or are you expanding to grow a market that you believe is there and you still need to develop? Are you expanding because there is a lot of supply and the capacity is not there from the inputs to address that supply? Because that will determine the kind of partner you would encounter or you want, be it from debt, mezzanine, so a mix of debt or equity partner. And it makes it easier. And so just carry, and irrespective of which business you really operate, I always say this Holy Trinity works for me. And ideally, to stay consistent and dominant, you must control two. So you must have a leverage on either the access to input and value addition or access to market and value addition. Strange enough, for what we've seen, the weakest spot is always in value addition. So if you don't control access to market or access to input, you are heavily exposed, because then you'll be squeezed with prices on both sides. So it's to develop your business, irrespective of what you're doing. How do I build partnerships and leverage with one side if I'm in the middle? So you're sourcing from a lot of women what's the partnership with them? How is the pricing? So you know you are the specialist. I think tying to even the second question, I am a product of my grandmom and my mom as far as anything business is concerned. And what we address today with education is quite vital of what women play in the education of not just in what they do, but in the family. And it's strange that I went to Europe to study, work in investment banking, just to realize that that business school had already been taught to me at the age of 13 by my grandmom. And she always used to say one thing: if you're an African, you're an entrepreneur. Because the world is not structured. The solutions we have is not developed to suit the challenges that we face across the continent. So we have to be entrepreneurial to find solutions, irrespective of from education, financing, traveling, everything. We have to be entrepreneurial. So to that aspect of what the CS was saying, that confidence is to believe that the nature of being an African, you're already entrepreneurial. So all of what we are doing is just adding the technical or the professional version of that.
Love that. Love that. And I hope we have answered that question extensively. I will allow Susan and Rosina to just handle and address that question of
seed capital, literally.
Yes.
It's literally seed capital.
Yeah. I think the most important thing, and I think Nuru alluded to this, around ensuring that you participate in the conversations of understanding whether the business that you have is a sustainable business. Is the need in the market enough to sustain your business beyond 3 years? Yeah? Because then you will be able to start attracting funding, because whoever it is that you attract for funding will be looking for a return. And therefore, literally what is assessed is whether the business can be able to provide the return. But having said that, I think it's important that you understand which ecosystem do you belong to, because you can start to have conversations around who am I supplying, who are my clients, and therefore, if, for example, you are a farmer you'll be looking for who's the aggregator for my product, and that way, I'm producing for them, and therefore they're likely to give me a contract because they've come down to the ground. Remember, financials don't come necessarily to the ground. They won't follow whether the crop failed. They will just realize, oh my God, the crop failed, we need our money. So they're actually looking for how to de-risk the transaction. But when you already have someone who's already looking to get your product, then you can come with the LPO and say, hey, I remember a client that we have from at Absa from Unilever, and she just said, I'm not going anywhere. You guys need to sort me out. And I just loved her tenacity because she came and said, I have this contract from Unilever. She was supplying plastic material. And she said, I have already gone. I have the biggest supplier of plastic material. He's going to do it for me. And therefore, you can work on their credibility to make sure that they deliver, so fund me. And it was her first one. So she had thought through the whole process to help me, convince me to understand that actually, I'm not going to lose money, because it's all about, will I lose money, will I make money? So I think it's trying to still come, have a conversation. The thing about being in the bank, you get to see so many conversations and almost get solutions because of the businesses that we interact with. So it's not a straight yes, because you need to demonstrate that you can actually do the business, but there is an ecosystem you belong to that can actually support you gain that credibility. Yeah.
Brilliant. Rosina, and then Nuru.
Thank you. Indeed, I'm totally aligned with Suzanne. I believe that as a bank, yes, it's about the communication. We need to believe in your business and understand that you dance to that tune to the max. So the supply chain is very important. This ecosystem is very important. We can, of course, provide finance, but it all depends, as Suzanne said. What is the supply chain? What is your operating model? And how knowledgeable and competent are you for that business? Because remember, we are trusted partners. We will accompany you, but it all depends whether the start begins with you. Do you know your business? Do you understand the ecosystem? Are you here to build a sustainable business? And how do we leverage on all the supply chain from start to finish to be able to provide it finance to you? So yes, I totally agree with Suzanne.
Thank you. Nuru, you get to wind this up for us. I have to release this room for lunch.
Thank you. I'll be very quick. The point about venture capital, I just wanted to point out that what I observe is sometimes many of us have small businesses doing the same thing in the same area. So you might want to look at merging and collaborating, because I think that is your quickest way to get a critical model that's viable from an equity and venture capital perspective. So I just want to mention that we don't all have to compete in the same place, in the same neighborhood, on the same product. Then the point about my sister who was talking about you've built capacity, we're in a poor community, there's no money, now what, right? You're telling us to invest and get capital. So I want to remind us that finance does not fit all. That's why you have a diversified financial structure. So for those with zero money, that's when grants really work. If you're a business that's 0 to 5 years, grants work, SACCOs, let's not underestimate SACCOs, village savings and loan model works, microfinance model works, commercial finance works. So Absa, don't get nervous, but there's a place for the different types of models of finance. 5 to 10 years, then you start looking at your impact investor, private equity and such. So really understanding your model and your product, your proposition, again, tying back to sustainability, you will know how to guide. But for those sisters of ours with zero to little income, just encourage them to start their own bank. That's how Cape WFT started, which now was bought by Co-op Bank. They started as house helps, coming together to put their few coins together, and now they became a bank, and they were bought over by one of the largest banks in the market. So we don't always have to ask Absa to lower their rates and make capital more affordable. We can do it ourselves.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nuru. Thank you. And I know we have so many other questions here, and please mark the panelists. You can see them during lunch hour. But I want us to close out because, Caroline, but as we close out and just get the closing remarks from each of the panelists, maybe share, what would you share as your one tip, piece of advice for somebody sitting in the room, really looking and wondering, how do I go about getting finance? What is the one thing, you know, and also building a sustainable business? What's the one thing you would share in terms of piece of advice? I'll start with Patrick.
I think probably since yesterday, a lot of aspects have been mentioned in terms of competence, getting prepared for those financing, getting to know your business pretty well so that you're confident to articulate it to any potential investor. That's very critical. But lastly also, I think to respond to the lady from the circle is that as African Guarantee Fund, we also appreciate markets. I think the Absa lady who made the first presentation in terms of going to the ground, we react to the market. And on that particular segment, we are in the process of signing a unique guarantee with a partner pretty soon that is going to target specifically MFIs, SACCOs, and fintechs, because we appreciate the role they play in as far as financial inclusion or access to financing is concerned. Secondly, I think it's upon SMEs also to push the bank. Again, same aspect of going to the ground. Banks react to the market. So as many SMEs knock on the bank that we need this service, we need this product, banks definitely will react and come up with solutions to address those particular products. And as AGF, we'll be more than ready to support the entire value chain. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Nuru?
Thanks. I think the point about gender disaggregated data is important. So let's support Absa when they start asking you for your gender data, because hopefully one day they'll raise a gender bond.
For me, it's really about, we talk about inspiration, but today I think it's a world where it's a very good time to be an entrepreneur. We have so many platforms, so many organizations here to help. The thing that my suggestion, my advice to you all is that connect with the right organization, connect with the right institution, connect with the right person, and you will see, because if your idea is unique and you want to build that sustainable business, you can articulate, other things will come, and we will help you. From Absa Bank to other institutions, to organizations, to government policy changes, and there's a whole ecosystem there to help you to grow.
Thank you, Rosina. Thank you.
I think from my end, it's been solution-oriented and understanding your unique value proposition. That will enable you to know what you're contributing, to the ecosystem that you're part of, two, whether you need partners to grow, and then three, and as of when you will need the necessary investment or capital to expand.
Brilliant.
I think for me, the one thing would be, I know you didn't start business knowing that you need funding. You probably started, many of you, as a passion to meet a need, yeah? And therefore, this thing of, now I need to expand my business, it's working. You know the story of Bandari, it's working. Just create a relationship with your bank. Create a relationship. Thanks.
Love it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have learned and taken away something. that will be valuable to your business, and I will hand it back to Caroline.
Please do not leave the stage. Thank you so much. I want a picture of all of you because I must give you gifts. Ladies, as we go out to lunch, I want you to come back. And when you come back, you need to tell me how I wish I knew or how I wish we had. Just listening to this panel, I was thinking, I wish we had a workshop that teaches me how to do certain things. Like I know when every time they say you must formalize. I swear we're going to need a workshop for just getting online, registering the business, those things. CR12 to Kuulizwa, we don't know what that is. So that's what I want you to come back with. When you come back, talk about it among yourselves. How I wish I knew, how I wish we could have. We must also leave here with some asks for Absa. Yeah, otherwise what are they going to do next year? What are they going to do next year? That's important for me. Allow me, once again, please give them a round of applause. Please, come. You can hand over my gift bags. Yeah? Ngojeni kidogo. Elizabeth must get into the picture. There you go. There we go. I hope I'm not in the shot. Fantastic. So, Elizabeth, will you do me the honors and make sure everybody gets a gift bag? Ladies and the lucky gentlemen here, please take your vouchers, head on upstairs to the second floor for lunch. I have been told, where's Yvonne? Yvonne, am I still giving them an hour for lunch? Am I? No, I'm giving you 45. I want you back because our session in the afternoon is everything. It really is everything. So I'm releasing you. Are you looking to see whether you should check under your desk? Go on. Check. Go on. Let me make you happy. Check. I put them under. Don't come out with my handbag. Check. Check. Knock yourself right out. Who got what? Are you kidding me? Absa! We did our thing. Okay, you know what? Go to lunch. I'll take care of it. See ya.
Because when women lead, businesses thrive, communities prosper, and legacies are built. So let this conference be a launchpad. Let it be the spark that ignites a fire of innovation, investment, and leadership across this continent. You have made a smart move by being here.
In fact, 24% of women in Africa have created their own business. If we compare that figure to other places in the world, in Asia is 6%, in America 12%, in Europe 13%.
I take a lot of inspiration from the journey that we are all on. I am here first and foremost because I believe, and I'm a strong believer, in the powerful potential of all the great women business leaders who are here with us today. I am here because I believe in each and every one of you that is represented here.
Because when women lead, businesses thrive, communities prosper, and legacies are built. So let this conference be a launchpad. Let it be the spark that ignites a fire of innovation, investment, and leadership across this continent. You have made a smart move by being here.
In fact, 24% of women in Africa have created their own business. If we compare that figure to other places in the world, in Asia is 6%, in America 12%, in Europe 13%.
I take a lot of inspiration from the journey that we are all on. I am here first and foremost because I believe, and I'm a strong believer, in the powerful potential of all the great women business leaders who are here with us today. I am here because I believe in each and every one of you that is represented here.
Ladies and the few lucky gentlemen in the room, good morning and welcome to the Absa Inspire Me Conference 2024.
Let this conference be more than just an event. Let it be a catalyst for your next big leap. Engage actively, ask questions, share your experiences, and most importantly, support one another.
So you know it takes one person with one voice to say, let's take a gamble on her. How are you using your voice to be a waymaker for someone else?
Consistent, competent people of character will build or break your business.
Ladies and the few lucky gentlemen in the room, good morning and welcome to the Absa Inspire Me Conference 2024.
Let this conference be more than just an event. Let it be a catalyst for your next big leap. Engage actively, ask questions, share your experiences, and most importantly, support one another.
So you know it takes one person with one voice to say, let's take a gamble on her. How are you using your voice to be a waymaker for someone else?
Consistent, competent people of character will build or break your business.
Ladies and the few lucky gentlemen in the room, good morning and welcome to the Absa Inspire Me Conference 2024.
Let this conference be more than just an event. Let it be a catalyst for your next big leap. Engage actively, ask questions, share your experiences, and most importantly, support one another.
So you know it takes one person with one voice to say, let's take a gamble on her. How are you using your voice to be a waymaker for someone else?
Consistent, competent people of character will build or break your business.
Ladies and the few lucky gentlemen in the room, good morning and welcome to the Absa Inspire Me Conference 2024.
conference be more than just an event. Let it be a catalyst for your next big leap. Engage actively, ask questions, share your experiences, and most importantly, support one another.
So you know it takes one person with one voice to say, let's take a gamble on her. How are you using your voice to be a waymaker for someone else?
Consistent, competent people of character will build or break your business.
Ladies and the few lucky gentlemen in the room, good morning and welcome to the Absa Inspire Me Conference 2024.
Let this conference be more than just an event. Let it be a catalyst for your next big leap. Engage actively, ask questions, share your experiences, and most importantly, support one another.
So you know it takes one person with one voice to say, let's take a gamble on her. How are you using your voice to be a waymaker for someone else?
Consistent, competent people of character will build or break your business.
Ladies and the few lucky gentlemen in the room, good morning and welcome to the Absa Inspire Me Conference 2024.
Let this conference be more than just an event.
My name is Faith Mungania. My company name is Craftmania. One thing I like about Absa, of course, they'll listen to you. They'll be able to take your problem being the first and foremost, much as you want to explain, but they want to give you better even products which you can be able to work with. And of course, they'll be able to give you options, what you can be able to do good to your company. How Absa have supported me, they have been able to give me loans, and I have been able to roll issues which I cannot be able to. There's not that pressure. You have to just work according to the way you have agreed, your contract, and you feel you're at home.
My name is Wambui Mugonjogu, one of the director at Waterline Hardware and Tools. Challenge ya kuran hardware as a young person ilikuwa ku get customer I believe in me. The location Kitengela because it's a fast growing town. Tunataka ukiingia uone aya wako na kila kitu. Hiyo kuget kila kitu kuna point ilifika tukaona we need finances kustock hiyo duka. Na that's when a friend akatuambia by the way Absa hupatiana unsecured loan. Hapo ndipo tukaenda Absa. We told them the plan we had for our business na kitu ya kwanza wakatupatia overdraft. We were able to expand the shop. Kitu nanibamba na Absa Bank ni niko na relationship manager. So nikiwa na any issue with my account, she'll assist me directly. The moment Absa uko na relationship manager, anything new that suits you watakuletea.
Can I use my card?
You can. So right now we are doing the tap and pay. I was introduced to MobiTap by my RM. Unapata ni app kwa my phone that customers can just tap bora simu iko na NFC and the transaction goes through. I'd recommend Absa MobiTap Pay. One, it's easier to use. I don't need to work with a normal phone and my PDQ machine. Kitu ingine, it's cheaper to me and it's faster to the customer. Na pia at the end of the day, anything that was transacted, debited or credited, napata hapo. I have a dream. My dream is to venture into the real estate market. I want to build houses, sell them, and also want to become a direct importer and direct distributor of hardware materials across East Africa. Whatever spaces you feel you can't fit in, whatever roles you feel you can't play, whatever businesses you feel you can do it. You just need someone who believes in you and you'll do it.
My name is Faith Mungania. My company name is Craftmania. One thing I like about Absa, of course, they'll listen to you. They'll be able to take your problem being the first and foremost, much as you want to explain, but they want to give you better even products which you can be able to work with. And of course, they'll be able to give you options, what you can be able to do good to your company. How Absa have supported me, they have been able to give me loans, and I have been able to roll issues which I cannot be able to. There's no that pressure. You have to just work according to the way you have agreed, your contract, and you feel you're at home.
I'm Damaris Debets, the founder of Asali Bechebet. I started it back in 2022 while I was still in campus, and since then it has grown really immensely. First of all, I'm a Shista. I graduated this year, May. The program really helped me with skills, and also Absa has helped me with finances, since SMEs and finances is really tough. But they have helped me finance my business, and it has grown. I'm really grateful. I like Absa because they walk with you through the journey. No matter how small, for us, the youth entrepreneurs, we always fear banks because we don't know anything about it. But for Absa, they partner with you, they walk with you throughout your business.
Ladies and the few lucky gentlemen in the room, good morning and welcome to the Absa Inspire Me Conference 2024.
Let this conference be more than just an event. Let it be a catalyst for your next big leap. Engage actively, ask questions, share your experiences, and most importantly, support one another.
So you know it takes one person with one voice to say, let's take a gamble on her. How are you using your voice to be a waymaker for someone else?
Consistent, competent people of character will build or break your business.
Ladies and the few lucky gentlemen in the room, good morning and welcome to the Absa Inspire Me Conference 2024.
Let this conference be more than just an event. Let it be a catalyst for your next big leap. Engage actively, ask questions.